their last meeting.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Sue.
Commissioner Wilkinson is absent excused. Commissioner Desjardins.
Here.
Commissioner Burge.
Here.
Commissioner Prunick.
Here.
Mayor Barry.
Here. Okay, item B, public comment. 4-minute limit, anybody? No? All right. We'll move on to item C, the consent agenda. You all have had a chance to read it. We did give a addition to the consent agenda. City attorney's report. Is there any changes or additions in discussion? Okay, hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Prunick, seconded by Commissioner Desjardins. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. At this point, I would like to recommend amending the agenda under item 7, accepting the city manager Olson's resignation. I'd also like to add discussion on possibly forming a committee to reach out to various recruitment firms to aid us with the search process. And
I move we amend the agenda to add item 8, a search committee for the city manager.
I'll support.
moved by Commissioner Desjardins, supported by Commissioner Prunick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay.
As a point of clarification, is that is that under .7 or is that a new point?
I was putting it under .7.
7A.
7.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. Okay. Item D, new business, new city business, EDA partnership update. Jackie Reynolds.
Okay, I gave everybody one of these Mash on Main, and if anybody that's here wants one of these by chance, I'm thinking maybe you, I'm gonna give you one just because you're sitting there right now, because you're involved with downtown business. So Match on Main is a program that the MEDC puts out, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and you become eligible if you are our RRC certified community or you're in Essentials, which we earned that, what Devin, was it about 3 years ago, something like that? We got Essentials. Took quite some time to get there, many years to get to that point, but we finally did. So at that point, we became eligible for different types of grants. I mean, we're already eligible for other types of things, just naturally, but this is something a little bit different. And what happens with this is the business has to be located within the downtown district, okay, the DDA district. And for those of you that don't know what the DDA district is, just because there's some other people here, it's like down around Ron's Auto Body, down over on that end of town. And then it ends over like down by the condos, over on the west end of town, past the high school, and then the lake on the north, and then like if there was an alley behind PSB, right? That was a house in my mind, think of it like that. So but we have a more detailed map, and people would know if you have a business because it would have on your property tax card, DBA, right? And they get the property taxes. So the grant is up to a $25,000 grant. It's a matching grant. We did it last year. What they have to do is, the best thing to do is to go to Michigan Match on Main. Just go ahead and do a Google, and it will take you to a web page. And there'll be an email going out to all the DDA businesses, like we do all the time with our grants. All the time we send out emails to all our DDA businesses telling them about whatever particular grant in this one. Because, for example, last year we did a round, and we had a few applicants in town, but they have to apply through a body, so they have to apply through the DDA. So we have a scoring system that we have there that the board takes into consideration. Last year we moved forward, we had 3 different applicants from downtown, we moved one forward to the state. This year we can move forward 2 applicants. They only do 1 round of this a year, but it's, they talk about it on the bottom, there are different things you can use it for. So A lot of times they look at things if they're gonna add on some outdoor space, some outdoor patio space, or maybe gonna expand their business, maybe it's a new business. Maybe they need technical assistance with marketing their business, that type of thing. Interior renovations, exterior renovations, all those kinds of things can be eligible. So if you know somebody that's got a business, that works on a business, you know that there's a project going on or something like that, you know, pass along the information. They got any questions, they can go to the website. It also has, it's a very nice video, it's a very instructional video. A lot of times these grants do have something like that. There's a Q&A and everything else. They can call me up and I can walk them through or put them in contact with somebody that they can talk to about more stuff in regards to that. So, and please ask me if you ever got any questions on that match on Main. The opening, the application opens on the 20th. Which I think it's 20th is what, Monday? 20th? Mondays. So all of a sudden I can't remember when the deadline date is. It's, you know, at least gonna give them a month after that, but it will have it all on that page. I talked briefly about a couple different times, always about Rekindle the Grand Giveaway, just as our ending numbers, just to give you a little idea. We've surpassed, and that's the, you spend $50 in Alger County, you get to enter into a drawing. We've surpassed the $2.5 million mark at this point since we started the program. And as far as the collecting of the local receipts, which is really good, this year we collected $158,000 worth of receipts, which is really good. Thank you to all the local businesses for participating and helping us out and donating stuff and all that type of thing. You're going to see out in the, whether it's the newspaper or social media or whatever it happens to be, it's time to do another banner art contest again. All the banner art that's downtown you see going on usually about every 3 years. We do another contest again. This one I think is going to be around the topic, the theme of nature, or not nature, but seasons. We've done nature before, but seasons, for example, fall, winter, you know, that kind of thing. The school always is a big participant in it, and it's open to people across, you know, across the county. Usually we easily get over 100 entries into it, and the school is one of our biggest things, so we're very excited about doing that. Looking at some different placemaking projects in town right now, probably doing some new skins on the directories throughout town, looking at some different framing and stuff, working with UP Fab and Mike Lempinen, UP Fab and Rick Coppola and Mike Lempinen has done other work, like Art in the Alley, the end pieces on Art in the Alley, you see those. The bike racks in town, you see the Iron Ore Heritage Trail, a lot of that work. The Negaunee Streetscape project, we do a lot of that stuff. So, and then possibly an archway thing that we might do down the bike path that's behind, where it kind of turns into a bike path behind Upco and Circle K. You know how it starts off as a 2-laner, and then it skinnies down into a bike path. Possibly maybe some archway down in that area. Working on signage, that type of thing. So that's what's going on right now. I don't know if anybody's got any questions.
Any questions for Kathy?
I have a couple.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about the Brownfield grant, not tonight, I think, at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Brownfield
yeah, I
program?
think that's what the timeline looks like to hopefully get through things, yeah.
It was nice that you're gonna make this, do some outreach on this to all the businesses downtown.
Always do on all our stuff, yeah.
Did we do any on the Brownfield program?
The Brownfield program, we've done numerous times. In fact, I've been on the Brownfield Authority, the County Brownfield Authority now for, I want to say 12 years. At least in my job, maybe the whole 14 years I've been in the job. So we got an EPA grant one time, for example. And with the EPA grant, we had to do training, we had to do workshops in the county, we had to do different outreach efforts within the downtown. We've done that. There's usually no specific grant per se that comes out that says, okay, we're gonna have like when we do our DDA grants and that type of thing, which now at this point, I was just counting today, we have done grants out of our office now, 377 grants, which is pretty darn good. But typically whenever a grant or match on Main or anything comes out, we got a DDA email list. So it goes out to everybody like that, or somebody says, but we've done with, when we did with that EPA grant, and with that money, we had like 200-some thousand or something like that. We did 20+ small grants across the county. with that.
I'm interested specifically in the Brownfield grant.
That's what I'm talking about, Ralph.
Right.
Yep,
Um,
with the 20-some, it was a
And I
brownfield.
understand because we went through this with Roman, remember when we went through it with Roman?
Yeah, oh
Back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah, I was on there, yeah.
And I was still
I told
on the
them
commission
about
then
it.
when they applied retroactively for the grant,
Yes.
because they didn't think they needed it at first or wanted it, and then they replied
sure.
retroactively. I wonder if the connection down the street can apply retroactively for the grant, because it was obviously an obsolete building.
That would be something we'd probably have to ask somebody about. I don't
Well, that's
know
what
if you
I'm
can
doing.
completely ask that far off. You know what I'm saying? I'm not for sure.
I'm not, I'm educating myself on the program, and I don't know if they are still eligible, if it's too far in the past or
If it's
not.
too far, that's a good question. I can ask, how far do you have to be down the road?
Well, can you find out, please, and let
I can
them,
find out.
and let them know?
Yeah, I can find that.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we doing anything, Kathy, and this is just a general question, I
Yeah.
don't mean to catch you off guard, but are we doing anything for non-tourist related economic development?
Well, we constantly, usually always do when it comes to non-tourist, it's like, say, for example, manufacturing, you're saying meetings or types
Well, I'm
of
looking
programming.
like, you know, the
training.
modern workforce, post-COVID, is not tied to place. I would give 906 Technologies as a good example
Yeah,
of the type of non-tourist industry or businesses that we would like to attract, which would naturally attract young families, and is not tied to place. And I wonder just if we have any efforts in that regard.
you know, I continually work with Matif, which is what used to be, for those of you that don't know, used to be Nina Paper. And, did I say it right, Matif? I'm always mispronouncing it.
You did.
Timber Products, which got a meeting with here in a couple weeks, because that's a continual meeting, and they're continually hiring all the time. Hiawatha Logs Homes got a meeting in a couple weeks. This is constant hiring all the time. It's very difficult, as you well know, being here for a long decades, that to get manufacturing, a lot of people don't know, it's very difficult to get manufacturing.
Manufacturing is
You know.
place-based, because
Yeah.
shipping costs are a concern.
Even small manufacturing would be
I'm
nice, but
talking
it's
about
tough.
like services. I mean, 906 Technologies doesn't manufacture anything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've tried to make this over the years a more attractive place for people, whether it's remote workers or whether it's people that are gonna work
Because-
in the technology
Because
field.
of the quality of life we have to
It's a
offer.
quality of life that we have to offer here, and that's been a whole UP-wide effort, which I sit on a gazillion committees for that across the UP. So it's not just Munising, it's every single community that wants to increase their population or be able to do things. I mean, a lot of the things, efforts that we do all the time, honestly, whether it's placemaking efforts, is to make that downtown look better. The over 300, plus grants that we do to help the downtown look better, the facade grant program, the parking lot program that we added, all those things. They're trying to make it so people want to come here. It's, it's hard because their families are not, if you look at the demographics, people just aren't having kids like they used to have kids, right? Average age in this community is 50 years old. It's hard, I can be very honest, and I guess I'm gonna speak, maybe it's not the right thing to say, but I will say because I've heard the comment out there. It's difficult for people that have families, that think about moving to Munising, and they see the, not millage, but the, what is it called again, with the school?
Oh, the
Sinking fund, when they see it get turned down, it doesn't, it looks like folks don't, support the school, but, it's,
Attracting young families is of course important,
It's-
but I think that we should give as much time and effort to attracting non-tourist related
Oh, we
businesses
also
as
have.
we do to supporting our existing tourist related
Yeah.
businesses, which is the base of our economy.
well, which we also have. I have always believed from the day that I started this job, that you have to have a balance, that you can't depend on one or the other, and that was a proven fact when you get to the pandemic issue. Because if all of a sudden nobody's coming to town, at least you've got something to fall back on, right?
Is-
Or
is it-
vice versa. What if all of a
As
sudden?
important as the school millage is in attracting young families,
Mhm.
the availability of housing is a
Oh, the availability
limiting
of
factor in
housing.
business development,
Mhm.
regardless of what type of business development it is.
The toughest thing I have to say, and the most unique thing about our office is the fact that we also run as a welcome center. So we see people that come in from around the world all summer. It's kind of like even down at the cruises. You talk to people, right? You talk to guests that come down, and they tell you why they're here. They say what they love about the place. And that's unusual to have that situation in economic development, because most economic development people, EDOs, that's Economic Development Officer, whether UP or nationwide, don't get that opportunity to hear what people think about them. You know, they don't get the opportunity to hear what they think about the downtown or the people that live in the community and that type of thing. We do. And they love it here. They love the way it looks here. They love the people here. They're very friendly. You hear that over and over again. But I have always said, boy, one of the toughest things with economic development, they hate the weather. I don't want to say they hate the weather. They think it's beautiful to come and to ski, right? Come and ski, but they say over and over for almost the 15 years I've been here, how do you withstand to stay here all winter long? I love to come and visit here. I love to have my second home here, but living here for 12 months, that is a really difficult thing for them to think about. I don't know how often you hear it. I hear it all the time. So it's kind of like you're battling something that you can't battle a little bit on it. You know, you try to pretty things up as much as you can. You try to make other things attractive to try to draw all those people you're talking about. You know, and you try to balance it out. But it's hard to get manufacturing or anything. A lot of things here. We don't have the interstate here. We don't have the rail here. We don't have the port here. We don't, you know. And you got hard
I
weather.
understand.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know that we're putting enough effort into
Oh yeah. Yeah.
non-tourist related economic
Oh
development.
yeah, you know, healthcare's a big thing in this community too. A hospital, I serve on the hospital board, I've been on the hospital board for over a dozen years. We recently just got and worked with Jen Hill on this, a $2 million grant with the hospital to put in more equipment and that type of thing. Medi-Lodge is continually hiring, that type of thing. So those jobs are professional jobs, are good paying jobs, you know, so. But I know I've been going too long.
No, that's okay, it's good stuff. Anybody else, or, okay, great, thanks for the update.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, item 2, Munising Bay Trail Network request for permission to use some
Yeah,
property.
so I think Zach was here at your meeting in December, basically to talk about what our next project is going to be and what we're asking for permission to do. So we're calling it the First Street Climb. And what it will do is just provide an easier way for folks to get up on top of the hill to enjoy the new downhill flow and steady trail. A lot of people like to do laps when they ride, if they like the downhill fun stuff, so they like to climb back up. And right now, the mountain goat is quite difficult to climb, so most people don't want to do that more than once.
That's
So-
the one up behind.
Yeah, so it's the one that branches off from the Gateway Loop right now, and it's,
Yeah, I declined to walk up it.
oh, really? Well, you should pedal up it. No. But anyway, so that's what I'm here for, is to get permission from the city to use that property to build that First Street Climb.
And then as part of the proposal that Rhonda had submitted, I also included the license agreement that we have with the Trail Network. Because inside of the license agreement, it explicitly states that the group must get permission from the city commission for any expansion of the Trail Network.
And then we would want to add an updated map, obviously, which we recently done, so, yeah. Does anybody have any questions about it, or did you ask Zach all the questions already?
Yeah. No, he pretty much just introduced it, and it's, you know, basically, we've got the agreement, we just need to approve it. It's okay to move on.
The light blue line is trail that's in place.
I forgot to bring, I had my paperwork all together.
Light blue line?
That's the girl.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
that's the trail that's in place already, yeah. Mountain goat, flow and steady, and then all the bike park, so.
Do you anticipate any pushback from the residents of First Street, Devin?
Well, Zach addressed it at the meeting in December where they were going to work with the contractor on limiting the hours for their mini excavator that's in there. But really, we haven't received a complaint to my knowledge, a noise complaint or
Not
anything.
necessarily for the construction, but for the use.
Yeah, no, and on any of the other trails, we've never received a noise complaint
I
or
mean,
anything.
it's not like just
associated with that.
snowmobiles going up First Street.
No, and I think, you know, as long as we are given permission, we would probably introduce this early so that folks know what is gonna happen, so it's not just all of a sudden people are, riding through First Street to climb a hill. So it's not a surprise. So we'll definitely make sure that I don't know if you know, but, well, if anybody reads the Munising Beacon, I've been in there the last couple of weeks, but we will be trying to bi-weekly update trails so that the locals can kind of stay on top of what's happening year-round, winter, summer, spring, so we'll definitely include that in there too, so to keep people aware of what the happenings are in the forest behind them.
And I believe Zach had some sort of resolution, I forget, for complaints as well. I think you talked about it.
Yep.
I forget what it was.
I think it's a great idea, quite frankly. Are we considered an epic trail system yet?
That's one thing I need to dig into is how do we get classified as epic? I mean, I feel
don't
like we
know.
have
Is
enough
it
miles.
50 miles?
I thought it was 30.
If we
And-
tie into Valley Spur, would that be considered epic?
Oh, yeah, we've already got 27 miles just within Valley Spur and then another 8-mile trail that links us to Wetmore now. So, yeah, we're ever expanding.
It draws a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully it helps do what you're talking here and creates somewhere that people want to live because they have places to play too, so.
And you can ride their fat tire bikes in the winter time.
Yep.
On top of Bailey's Hill. Any other questions for Rhonda?
Yeah, and you guys have already gone through the engineer's report on this fully, correct?
So we had the Rock Solid concept plan, the Rock Solid crew came in, it was December of '22, I believe. They came in and did a whole concept plan and basically told us where they thought it was feasible that we could build trail, which, I don't know, originally we had a trail that was gonna go right through where the landslide happened, and they advised us to not go that far west because of the clay and stuff that's in the hillside over there, so they feel like the Fir Street climb was the best area that they found that we could create a gentle climb, just because the hillside is so steep in most places. It was the best place that we could create a gentle climb that would be easier to get to the top of the hill.
Now, it does say in this, this letter flat out that you will stockpile some of the soil. Is that gonna have any problems with like drainage or anything at the bottom of the hill? Are we gonna have flooded basements? Are we going to have additional
No,
stresses
the
on
trails are,
the
I
sewer
mean,
system or anything like that?
relatively narrow, they're built sustainably. The people that we have building our trails are very professional. They've been building trails all over. They know what they're doing. And if we need to build, boardwalks or whatever to be over wet areas, that's included in the contract.
You have the money?
Yep, we've already got the money.
Any other questions?
That was the only thing I could think of in terms of impact in the city.
Bill, have you had a chance to review this contract?
I did, and I made a couple of tweaks that I talked to Devin about. They were insignificant, but I thought important, so. He's gonna get back to them with that, two little things.
Look for a motion, Your Honor.
I'm looking for a motion.
I would move then that we approve the, what is it called?
First Street climb?
Licensing agreement for the First Street climb with the Munising Bay Trail Network.
I second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Justardens, second by Commissioner Burge. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Rhonda.
Rhonda.
All right, item number 3, Coleman Engineering Unison TAMAC grant pay request for $11,377.75.
Engineer's invoice, this is for the technical managerial and financial assistance grant that we applied for and received from Eagle at the state level. This is the grant that is facilitating the inventorying of service line materials in the city that we discussed with Coleman Engineering when they were here last month. It is a 100% reimbursement grant from the state to the city. However, we do have to approve the invoices, pay them up front, and then submit for reimbursement.
Any questions?
No, it sounds wonderful.
All right, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to pay the invoice.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Prunick, seconded by Commissioner Bird. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, Viking Industrial Painting Payment Request for $49,922.50.
Is this final, Devin?
It's not, there is going to be a smaller release of retainage that will be at the next meeting. This is the last substantial invoice from Viking. They had completed the water tower painting back this summer. A couple small issues that arose. There was some signs that weren't put up, just very small punch list items. The Viking was extremely responsive, came back and took care of those and did submit it. We had to work out a couple issues with them through just confirming that things were done correct, which we did, and now they are ready and ready for their last large payment, and the engineers at Coleman have also reviewed and approved it as well.
Can we refer to this as payment 003?
Yeah, this would be payment 3, with their retainage request at the next meeting being 4 and final.
Move we authorize payment 003 for the elevated water storage tank painting job.
Support.
Any more discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none. Motion made by Commissioner Justardens, seconded by Commissioner Prunick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Ice Fest request to close the street for street party on 2/14/2025. And I guess it would be 2026 as well, like part of the day. I mean, not 2026, February 15th.
Don't give us another year.
You went the whole year, Amy?
And I believe Amy Justardens is here to take any questions or give a synopsis of the request as well.
Amy, is this for the polar plunge too?
So it's for the polar plunge, and also what happens at, Munising Ice Fest, Downwind puts on Munising Ice Fest every year, and it's usually a week-long event, and generally for the past, I would say, 5 years, 6 years, for a while, we've closed down just in front of 209 Maple Street. We don't block the alleyways, it's strictly just in front of East Channel Brewing Company, and then the other side of the street there is the Bruce residence, and they've given us approval to do the same thing. And we set up a tent, and we have it's called a street party for the Ice Fest, or folks that come to town. There's music, but we're usually shut down pretty good. Our neighbors have always been fine with us doing that. And then we do keep the road closed. We leave the tent up because then the next day we put on not us, we just provide the space. The Special Olympics crew puts on the polar plunge. And then we set up drying rooms and changing rooms within that tent. So after they jump, they can go in there and change. And then after that is done, we clean it up and it's open again for that Saturday.
It's a great event.
I'm all in favor of it.
Thanks.
Just a housekeeping question, I
Sure.
guess. Is that because these are two separate events, how does that impact the insurance liabilities for the city?
Yep, Downwind or Munising Ice Guides are Downwind, and also Special Olympics provides insurance to the city. They list the city on there.
Okay, and they both have it because they're two separate events, even though it's one looking for closure?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just happens to overlap each other.
Oh, yeah, like I said, it's a housekeeping thing. It wasn't necessarily a.
It's good to ask.
Yeah.
One question for you, Amy. Do you know how much you guys, or your facilitation of the polar plunge has raised for Special Olympics the last 5 years?
I want to say last year they just crossed, was it 10 or 15?
it was like 12 or something like that,
$12,000, and their
13.
goal this year is $16,000, and I want to say our first year doing it, it was like $3,000. We had like 3 jumpers, and it's gotten really big. It's quite.
Yeah, I think the
I'm not
previous year was
jumping,
right
but.
over.
I recommend you all do.
Any other questions? Okay, entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support, we support it to close Maple Street south of the alley to Anota Street from Friday the 14th at 8 AM until Saturday the 15th at 8 AM.
No, it'll be later than that.
Yeah, it'll kind of be the afternoon of the 15th.
Afternoon of the
1
15th.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Bird, second by Commissioner Justardens to approve the street party on February 14th and 15th. Any more discussion? None. All those in favor?
Thank you, guys.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Item number 6, dump truck purchase for MI deal, because we have the MI deal, for $146,693.97.
This doesn't look like a dump truck, Devin.
So, it's actually, from International, we have been buying, basically the frames, drivetrains and cabs, and then there are secondary upfitters. In the past, the MyDeal quote that we use is truck and trailer
So
out
that's
of
going
one
to
city.
cost more.
It will, we actually budgeted $190,000 for it this year for an expenditure. We did also include a part of that expenditure being covered by a loan. However, in working with the USDA RD, we are not necessarily in the same realm of loan and grants that we used to be. So we're looking at using Leachate, which we have access to Leachate cash right now for the purchase. And I do want to point out that it is a triaxle. Currently, we've run tandems. In fact, the tandem that this would be replacing is a 1994 Ford L8000. So it's I would say it's one of the, what we call now the rusty but trusty. But it's rusty to the point that we now have frame issues that our mechanics red tagged it. The second page, page 3, cover of the second page, includes the price breakdown. Factory list price of $304 with the MyDeal adjustment of $163,000 down to $146 for the city.
How does that work?
Yeah,
That's-
that was my question.
So MyDeal is it's a state program that is their purchasing program where they, I believe it's their Office of Management and Budget, and they go through and they basically let contracts and say, hey, the state's gonna have this many units purchased of this type of vehicle with these specs, and get basically a lot of dealers to respond to those and negotiate the price on that basis,
So hell
so,
of a discount.
yes,
It's
yep,
the
so.
same as police vehicles, right?
It's to go police vehicles, in fact, all of our vehicle replacements that we've done, including our cat loaders, are all through
Oh,
MyDeal,
wow, okay.
so.
Is this triaxle, will our underbody fit on it?
So an underbody will not fit on this one, however, we expect our next one, our next tandem, to have the ability to have that underbody.
So we can keep the underbody, we're gonna take off the rusty but trusty?
So the one we're replacing, the Ford L8000, is actually only a dump truck. It doesn't have an underbody or hydraulics on it, and so that's why we're going to the triaxle, because we are starting to do a little bit more hauling. Typically during the summer, when our guys have an extra couple hours here, they'll run out to the Norman Pit and grab a load of gravel and stockpile it at the cemetery or the DPW. So when we're doing projects like that where we're stockpiling, it's nicer to have a little bit heavier duty, larger unit, but operating tandems still, so we can use tandems which are smaller, lighter vehicles for more of the finesse work like ditching or culvert replacements that require a little bit more finesse and smaller size with limited access.
Is it an 8-yard box?
We actually are in the middle of getting the quote for the box. It should be over, I think we're running 13-yard boxes on our tandems now, so it should be about 30% larger than that, give or take.
Good. You wanna move to authorize, a motion to authorize the purchase?
Sure.
I would move that we authorize a purchase for Michigan MyDeal quote on the triaxial dump truck.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Justardens and supported by Commissioner Prunett to approve the dump truck purchase with the MyDeal benefit. Any more discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried. All right, item 7, heavy heart to do this one item. Accept the city manager Olson's resignation.
Yes, so this is one of the harder things I've had to do. Per my contract, I have to provide notice to the city commission of 90 days at minimum. And my family has the opportunity to relocate back to, my family, I call it me and my wife and our future child, which is due in July, to relocate back to West Michigan and be closer to our family. And so I'm subsequently resigning. However, 90 days notice, but as my letter does indicate that I am more than open to discussing some sort of graduated schedule to help maintain the city, maintain the operations, keep projects on track, as well as assist the commission in an executive manager search.
Which, that would bring us, I believe, to item 7A, to
So-
discuss
I
Oh,
believe
we
you
have
have
to
to accept the
Oh, sorry.
resignation.
Before we do that, I just want to thank you, Devin, for, and we'll get a chance to do this again with fanfare. We, honestly, and by your own admission, we took a big chance when we hired you 10 years ago. You were 25 years old, fresh out of college, didn't know nothing from nothing. And you were our choice, and you've done a great job. And I want to thank you for it, and, anyway, we'll talk more about this later, with fanfare and cold drinks.
Thank you, Rob.
Devin, you know my social graces aren't as good as everybody else's, so I might shift things around and let everybody be supportive, because I've sent my email, I said my piece, so. You were talking about graduated schedule, about that. Have you thought about like how to define that? What kind of things are you looking at to help out with the transitional
So,
process?
full-time to fulfill my contract through April 6th, no question about that. And then with the discussion is, and I did mention this to Mayor Barry, that if this would be something that maybe the Labor Committee may want to meet and discuss with me, but it would be one where through June, so we can get the budget adopted. One thing I did talk about at the last meeting, when this wasn't 100% on our radar, was contract negotiations for our collective bargaining units coming up, but trying to put a schedule together on paper that allows me to continue to help the city get some of those projects taken care of, get the collective bargaining out of the way, and assist in the manager's search, because that typically takes more than 3 months. And to sit down and, say 2 to 3 days a week on site and then be available, once again, I say I work Monday through Friday, but I work 24/7, 365, and my wife knows it and hates it. But it'd be one of those where, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do 100%, but at the same time, having my family situation and, appointments and things like that as we move forward, still be able to do my commitment there as well.
All right. And then as a follow-up for City Attorney, Mr. Nordine, is there anything that you could think of right off the bat that might be really important, just as we're going through the nuts and bolts of this, on top of the emotional aspect of it, that might stick out to you in terms of what he just said about that transfer of power, or like making sure that everything works out well?
You should timely look at doing a search. I mean, you should timely do that. Market County's going through this right now, and so is Forsyth Township, and there's a couple others. So there's many municipalities out there looking for administrators right now, so you should certainly do that. And whether you reach out to MML or to the city organization that you use, I haven't said MTA, but there's help out there, and you should engage it. I think Market County just paid $20,000 to do I think it's a nationwide search for a county administrator, but you might not want to do it that much, but you should do something. So you should go out and look and see what's out there and see how quickly they can do them. So for the county, for instance, we had like 4 different places come back to us, but 2 of them couldn't do it until May. Well, we don't want to wait till May, because then you have this big gap of our administrator leaving, and what are you gonna do, And I mean, you have a great advantage here that Devin wants to stay, part-time, whatever, to kind of transition out, but you should do it sooner than later.
Can we back up and deal with the resignation first? I would move that we accept the resignation with regret in accordance with the terms of the city manager's contract.
I'll second. Do you want it?
It's yours.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Justardens, seconded by Commissioner Birch, to accept City Manager Olson's resignation, as stated in your motion. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now 7A, we can continue discussion on reaching out to the committee and reaching out to recruitment firms.
If I may, Your Honor, I've done this a half a dozen times, and it's never easy. This would be the easiest transition that I can recall. We have done it with just city staff. We have done it with the assistance of Michigan Works, and I was the Michigan Works guy at the time. I wasn't on the city commission. We have done it with the city manager taking the lead, And the last 2 times we have done it, we have contracted with the Michigan Municipal League for outreach, advertising, applicant screening and vetting. And it helps a lot to have professional assistance. One thing that I would recommend, a committee to coordinate that, comprised of the mayor and myself, because I have done this a half a dozen times, and the city clerk, because she's done this a half a dozen times. And with one caveat that each and every commissioner gets to see the resume for every applicant, regardless of the screening process. And the MML has people who do this all the time. The last time we did it, we budgeted $10,000 for it.
No, I agree with that. Devin and I talked today, and any kind of assistance we can get, and it's, to me, it's worth the expense, because we just don't have the money. We're just not equipped as a.
One thing that's different about this time is that, I'll be real honest with you, I work all over the UP. The city of Munising is the envy of the UP as far as municipalities go, because 90% of our infrastructure is less than 15 years old. Our finances are very positive. We have good union contracts. We have a lean, capable workforce. And we are the poster child for the Pure Michigan campaign. I would suspect that we will have no shortage of candidates for the job. But it is a process, and it does take time, and we need to take whatever time is necessary to make a good choice. I would say the last 2 times we did this, we ended up with 6 candidates, and we interviewed all 6 candidates each time. There is an attrition rate. Once you decide, okay, you're a candidate, we want to interview you, half of the candidates will drop out before they get to the interview process because they got another job offer, or they decided not to move, or for whatever reason. Hiring a chief executive officer for a municipality is fairly complicated, and it's a big decision to do it right.
So, we would need a motion to, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Where would this money come from?
That's,
So at this point, at a minimum, I'm working full-time through April 6th, which is a Sunday,
So
but
I'll clarify. Where would the money for the outright advertising for this position and working with any hired group come from?
so even after April is, I would start pulling back on, if you guys want to work with me and allow me to assist you guys, it would be something where we will be able to have money inside of my departmental budget for city manager to do a budget adjustment and put it into a line item for a manager search.
It's the appropriate place for it to come from too.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, in my experience, looking at other communities who have gone through the process, it's a holistic process. Is when you bring that consultant on, they handle the advertising, they work on the community profile, they distribute the profiles, and then do also the recruitment and headhunting for the position as well. And the MML has done it in a seamless fashion. They do all the dirty work of it and then bring the results back to the city board and allow them to kind of vet through the applicants.
The interview process is at a public meeting. It does involve all 5 city commissioners. And I have insisted and will insist that each commissioner be able to look at every applicant, even the ones that we screen out. And the MML rep who helped us last time was a retired city manager. And his assistance, I thought, was pretty invaluable.
I guess we would need a motion to move forward.
I would move that you appoint yourself and me and the city clerk to a city manager search committee, and authorize the expenditure of $10,000 from the city manager's budget to engage the Michigan Municipal League in assistance in the city manager search process.
Do you have a second? Or support?
I'll have support for sure.
Okay. We've got a You have more questions?
Yeah, just the amount I was kind of worried about. It's very nitpicky compared to some of the other stuff, and I appreciate, you know, you're very well-versed breakdown on that, but when was that? Where you put the
10 years ago.
Okay, there's no way that's gonna cost 10,000 now. I
I
mean,
don't know if we spent
post-COVID for
10,000 last
this, and as well as watching some of the other communities in the UP that have struggled with finding people through the MML, namely the Village of Calumet, because I know that they took 3 or 4 before they finally got somebody to stay for longer than 12 months. I'm just a little worried about the price tag,
You think a little
so
bit more?
I think it's
That's
gonna
what
be more than
my thought
20,
was.
if not 25, which is why I'm asking about where the money's coming from, is because I think this might actually lead to the point where this is gonna be more than what would be just in your budget, and I wanna make sure that we have like some kind of like caveat in motion wording itself. Say it's no more than 10,000, or we gotta come back and try to figure that out, or,
Well, if it's gonna cost more than $10,000, we can authorize more.
One thing that I can do is, in the meantime, is reach out, because there is the MML, but there's also other qualified consulting firms that do the exact same thing. I can reach out to them and have them submit proposals for the city commission to review, including the step-by-step process and the timeline that they propose, along with a price tag.
All right,
So-
let me rephrase my motion, Your Honor. I would move that we appoint the mayor and myself and the city clerk to a search committee and authorize the city manager to seek proposals on professional assistance with an initial budget of $10,000 from the city manager's fund, or the city manager's budget. And you're right, it'll probably cost more than that.
That's
and I appreciate that flexibility, I just, you know, you get, the way you presented it was very positive, and the thing is, honestly, this, all right, now I'll go into the lovey-dovey aspect of it. You're very good and you're very young, your price point is gonna be different than bringing in somebody that has the years of experience compared to fresh out of college, and that's gonna skew the scale. I'm worried on the back end of this, and this is gonna be a very costly decision in terms of, you know, finding the right person and making sure that we have the budgeted amounts for it after the fact. And I just wanna make sure that we are through, you know, that's in the back of our mind every step that we take. Again, out of the respect of the capabilities that you've done, we now have to kind of, you know, we can't hire straight out of AA, we gotta go and put that draft pick up right up there in the majors, so.
I thank you for the vote of confidence and the kind words, now that I know I'm in the major leagues. But it is that the city's a very different place now than it was 12 years ago, when I interviewed, 11 years ago when I actually started. And I do believe that it is more attractive to a lot more, not only new managers, but also seasoned managers as well. And I think that there's gonna be a lot of interest. I think part of it is the fact that the city commission for 10 years has been proactive in staying competitive with pay and benefit packages. And we are now in a position, as Rob mentioned earlier, 90% of the infrastructure has been addressed. We have things that are gonna be legacy items that the next manager doesn't really necessarily have to worry about. And we are financially in a good spot, and I think it's gonna be a different search. And I will say that this is a good problem to have, of not knowing how to do manager searches because of the tenure. And I have to commend the city commission and the staff, because for the last 23 years, there's been 2 managers, and that is an incredible statistic in our business.
And your predecessor had 40 years of experience when we hired him, including being a state representative. Okay.
Okay, we got a motion, do we have support for that?
I'll support it.
So, motion by Commissioner Justardens, support by Commissioner Prunick to appoint myself, Commissioner Justardens, Sue Roberts, on a committee to authorize seeking out proposals with an initial budget of $10,000 coming from the city manager's budget line item. I think I got that.
You got it. It'll get better and better.
Any more discussion?
Just one point, once we do make a selection, then there's a negotiation involved on the contract and on the salary, which can be thorny. We can have a city manager we really like and can't come to terms with, which is always a possibility.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Item E, correspondence.
Oh, we need a cat.
A what?
We missed Oh, yeah, never mind.
Oh, do we need a roll call vote for the?
No.
No.
No, but we need a cat.
A cat?
No,
we do not.
Yeah, no, we're a dog-friendly office.
Okay.
I gotta tell you that, I gotta tell that story. We made the decision when the cat we used to have at City Hall jumped up into Devin's lap.
That's how the cat.
And that's how we made our decision.
Okay, item F, actually, correspondence. We've got the Munising quarterly recycling report in front of us. Is there anything you'd like to add to it?
We'll keep including them in correspondence on a quarterly basis as we get them from GFL.
Well, I'm glad to see that people are recycling. I know our house, they have more recycling than they do garbage anymore, which is, you know, I'm thankful for that.
I'd like to add to that
Yep.
if possible. The disposal dates and tonnages, is that combined between commercial outfits and residential?
I believe it is, and then they also, if they have like a low collection on one week, they may wait till the following week to bring it. So some of the dates don't match exactly to the collection dates.
It's important to note that with, for our long-term renter population in Munising, most people that long-term rent are in apartment buildings, which means that they have to be underneath the commercial recycling process. So, the residential numbers might be skewed a little bit. We don't have as many long-term renters maybe as we might have had in the past, but it is just important to note that that is a very big statistical aspect of this report.
I do remember you mentioning that when we first were talking about all this. All right, then G, or no? let's see,
Public
F.
comment.
Public comment. You're next.
Sorry, Johnson.
Yes.
I just got off my line. Mike Nettleton. First, I'd like to thank, as a resident of the city, thank Devin. He's always been great to work with. Working for a business across the street, he's always been great to work with. And the county aspect, he's been great to work with when I've had questions that tie the city to the county. He's always been more than willing to speak with me when I just pop in and say, hey, when you get off the phone, can I have a minute? So, appreciate that. One just thought, maybe suggestion, you may want to add a large member to your search committee. Resident of the city, maybe somebody that's got some experience. I think I may know somebody that would put their name in for that, so, and no, it's not me, but very close to, so. Just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is John. I think I know most of you guys. This is Zach. We work together on the Fitzgerald Cruises. Devin, you've done a great job, but it's going to be hard to replace you, that's for sure. Madam Chairman, I just wanted to kind of give you a brief update of what we're working on, so you don't get blindsided, or if you hear this on the street. I know you've been to meetings, we've talked about it. I know Rod has reached out to me and discussed a couple items. But we're applying for a brownfield plan. We'll be coming to you, I think, in March 5th for approval of it. I think we'll probably have some discussion before that. That we could give you a kind of a basic overview of what we're trying to do down at the Picture Rocks cruises. If you look at the plan, there's kind of 4 pictures here. The picture on the bottom left is kind of an overview of the site plan with the proposed loading area that we're doing and the ramp out to the loading area, and the addition is the light pink or kind of yellow. The upper picture in the right-hand corner is a kind of exploded view of the building, which you can see the existing building with substantially improved facilities for our customers. And then in addition to the west, which is again that light yellow color with the ramp there going to the area out front. And then the main picture is kind of an overview of the building coming down Elm to the left, because we're redoing the whole building. And then the building on the bottom right would be or the picture on the bottom right would be kind of an overview of the whole facility with the loading area for our customers. So our building was deemed functional obsolete by the county or the city assessor. That allowed us to move forward with this proposed brownfield. It's been a long time coming for our operation. We've had a substandard building for many years that I've inherited, and we also had substandard loading area. So we have got the loading area pretty much completed. Anybody wants to come down and take a look at it, I can certainly show you what we've done so far. Now we're working on the actual building construction. We have a federal contract with the federal government. It's a 10-year contract with some options for renewals. And that contract requires us to maintain a certain level of standard for our customers or for the public, which includes handicap accessibility, which we're addressing on our boats and the facility. It also addresses, care of audio systems on the boats, also hearing impaired issues. It's very detailed. It gets into our narrative on the trip. We have to get that approved. I don't know if you're aware that we do pay a fee to the park for accessibility into the boundary waters of the park. We pay that at this location, and also we pay that at our kayak operation, which Zach and I are involved with down in Brown's Edition. That's an annual fee or a monthly fee depending on the size of the contract. Our contract is a federal contract. It's managed by Washington, D.C. Once you reach a certain volume, it goes from a regional contract.
Your time is up.
Time's up.
That's a new thing, John.
Yeah.
To be continued.
You don't have to do 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. All right, that's good. Never heard that happen. Go for it.
All right, just ask a question. I don't know if it's my memory or if it's just that we never had it to begin with, but I feel like there was a lot more signage about where snowmobiles could go and what speeds they could reach in residential areas of town.
So, there was at one point, however, back in, I want to say 2018, the city commission revamped the snowmobile ORV ordinance and made it so that it's available, you can utilize a ORV or snowmobile on city-owned and operated streets if you're going to and from essentially lodging, gasoline, food, with the exception of Superior Street and Elm Street where there's diagonal parking. A lot of the other old signage was when there was a designated snowmobile route through town, and it was signage for that designated snowmobile route that was essentially alleys and I think down Cedar for a portion of it, up Varnum, and so yeah, they were removed when that changed.
Okay. There was a friendly discussion for some people that are second shifters and nightlife people about snowmobile parking and access to the bars downtown. What kind of impacts that would have, how they could get there, did they count as food with the ORV lodging, and also after a very busy night for somebody with the parking ordinance that led to some jokes down at the courthouse with how many parking tickets were given out after the first snowfall. There was just a lot of confusion about what snowmobiles could do if they were just sitting there and people were using the businesses that weren't sitting down for a meal, they were just enjoying the bars. And I don't really know what the right option is with that. I felt like there were more signs in the past, but if the ORV ordinance has changed, then that's one thing. But again, Superior Street is one of the places where you gotta go to if you're gonna go to any place that has a liquor license in town, pretty much. So I don't know if there's a way that we could maybe get more signage or make some Facebook posts about where we could find that stuff on the website. just to kind of like help promote things in a positive way and give our bar staff and our service industry folks some extra resources, so that way they can direct people in a way that's more positive instead of just, whining and complaining. Then I think that might be a cool idea if we've got time for staff.
So we can do we can do some additional outreach, but if the ordinance wants to be reviewed, that's at the pleasure of the commission.
Totally fair.
Thank you. Actually, this kind of segues into something that I wanted to bring up. We had a discussion earlier, just kind of changing the agenda slightly. Right now on the agenda, we've got in two places for public comment, and I would like to propose having public comment at the beginning of the meeting, as it is, and then down at the end of the meeting, where the second public comment is, maybe have it to be commission comments. Same rules, apply. Just if there's thoughts, just like what you had. So if that were something that we would like to entertain, we would bring it back next month with that, and the plan is escaping me.
The rules and procedures
Yep,
of the city commission.
The rules and procedures that we approved back in November. So I just see what you all thought.
As a replacement or as an addition?
A replacement. We don't need two public comments on here, I don't feel, personally.
Just one suggestion, Your Honor, and we used to have commissioner comments before. Commissioner comments generally devolved into a discussion where more than 3 commissioners were reasoning towards a decision on non-agenda items, which treads dangerously close to violating the Open Meetings Act. You just have to be careful how you regulate it.
Okay.
Can I make a public comment? Is it still public comment?
Yeah.
About your public comment?
Yep. Go for it.
The only thing I see with that is, if you guys talk about something during the meeting that's a topic, and I'm sitting here in the audience and I'm thinking, I'd like to say something, but it's probably inappropriate for me to say something during the time that you've got your item going on. When do I talk about it? Do I have to wait to come back to the next meeting and talk about it at the beginning of the meeting? You know where I'm going.
Yeah, I do. And I'm hesitant to even further this discussion because we're dangerously close to violating the Open Meetings Act right now.
Okay. Well, I just thought I'd throw it out there. It's,
So it sounds like it needs to be on the agenda for the next
Yeah,
commission
all we have to
meeting.
do is add it, and if I remember correctly, the mayor, the clerk, the manager can add agenda items and any 2 commissioners.
so,
And that way we can avoid that conundrum. I think it's a valid use of our time.
so I just didn't know where we fit in, because we're, with the public comment. If we had something to, just case in point.
I remember how they were back in the day.
Well, you can ask
Fist fights.
commissioner comment regardless of whether you have 2 public comments. It doesn't have to replace that.
No.
Just ask for commissioner
Well,
comment.
Yeah, I was thinking, hardly anybody ever utilizes the first one.
You're only required by statute to have 1,
Okay.
but most places have 2, for the same reason Catherine's
Kevin's saying, oh, just in case. Okay.
There's also been a lot of school boards that have used the first public comment as a way to deter comments that they don't like. Marquette and Munising have both said first public comment is limited only to agenda items. And then you can't talk about anything, like if they want to bring it up like that, they have to bring it up in the second one.
Okay. All right. So I guess then this is all good discussion for next meeting. All right. Anybody else with public comment?
I do. And it's a suggestion that I will ask you to put on the agenda for the next meeting. We used to have a regular roundtable meeting of the city, the county, the road commission, and all of the townships once a quarter, where a representative from each body met and discussed items of mutual interest, not to be limited to possible conflicts in villages and projects where there was room for cooperation, or a discussion about dissent. And I would encourage you to put that on the agenda for the next meeting so that we can discuss it.
Okay.
We still do those.
We do?
Yeah.
There are quarterly meetings.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I go out behind the city.
I have not heard of one in a while. Oh, shut up, Rod.
They're not advertised, nobody knows about them, so.
Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, I miss Enchanty Club. Come on,
I would entertain a motion for adjournment, please.
I so move.
I'll support.
Moved and supported by Commissioner Justardens and Commissioner Prunick.
And for clarification, every time we schedule one, it is posted